Hi, welcome to this episode of Great Practice, Great Life. And I am here with a special guest, somebody that I've been a fan of and listening to his podcast and following his career. Prolific author, prolific content creator, which we'll talk about later in the show. But more importantly, a man that lives his mission, and that is Dre Baldwin. Dre, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Steve. Excited to be here.
It's great to have you here, man. I'm very excited to have you here. You bring something to the party that is very, very difficult for a lot of people to appreciate. And you own a company called Work on Your Game. And before we get to explain that, I also want to thank you. You've committed to be a speaker at our summit this year. And you're going to talk about your new book, which is called The Third Day. So we're going to reference that when you get a chance, reference The Third Day and talk a little bit about it. But don't steal your thunder for the summit. I want to make sure that you knock it out of the park at the summit.
Sure.
That work for you?
That works. It's perfect.
Okay, so talk to me about the origin of Work on Your Game. What does that mean? What's it about? And how can you help my friends who are lawyers, team leaders, associates, people who are in the law firm space trying to have a great practice and great life? How can you help them?
I'll encapsulate probably a bunch of questions all in one if I answer that question. So it started with my background as an athlete. So my background is playing sports, played basketball professionally for 9 years. And at the same time I started playing pro, which was in 2005, to give everyone a timeline, I started publishing videos on this new website called YouTube. And it was brand new at that time. So that's where I started to build what we now call personal brand on the internet. And it was probably about 4 or 5 years into that, I had this audience of just basketball players. So from 2005 to 2015, most of my content, 98% of it was on the basketball court showing players how to play. And I would start to get players just coming to me because they were spreading the word about me through word of mouth to each other. Hey, if you want to learn how to play basketball, go on YouTube and look up this guy, Dre Baldwin. So I would get all these comments often from players just asking, Dre, how do I get better? Can you give me some tips? Can you give me some advice? And one day I was in the 24-hour fitness gym in Cutler Bay, Miami, southern part of the city. And I had my camera with me. This is before we had cameras on our phones. So this is when you needed a phone and a camera. So I had my $100 camera with me, as I always did, just in case I came up with an idea to put on YouTube. And at the end of my workout, I was just thinking about the comments that I was continually getting, which is what I just told you. Give me some tips, some help, some advice. And I recorded this short 2-minute video. It's still on YouTube to this day, where I was saying to the players, hey, all of you are coming to YouTube and asking me for advice and help as to why you're not getting better, when what you all actually need to do is look at what I'm doing. I'm here in the gym. This is about 4 a.m. because this is 24-hour fitness. So it's 4 a.m. I'm finishing a workout. So it's 4 a.m. I'm finishing a workout and you all are on YouTube watching me. So this is the reason why I'm getting good and you're not. So what all of you need to do is stop playing Xbox, stop standing outside in the corner, stop watching YouTube, even kill this video that you're watching and go work on your game. And I put some colorful language in that sentence, but they all got the point. And when I said that, many of them, they just loved that phrase. And I wasn't trying to create a catchphrase, Steve. I was just saying, I was just talking. But so many people kept repeating that phrase back that probably about a year or so later, I realized, you know what, this phrase is perfect because it encapsulates everything that I'm about. And I also could see on the horizon, I wasn't always going to be the basketball guy. Eventually, basketball stops bouncing. But this phrase, work on your game, is not about basketball. It's just about work, whatever your game is. So that's when I kind of branded it.
What do you think the biggest challenge has been for you personally in developing resilience? As you look back over your career, both as an athlete and now as, I think, a coach, an entrepreneur, a writer, you've published 35 books now. What do you think your biggest challenge is for you personally for being resilient?
I think the biggest challenge is really the foundation. It's what kind of hardware do you have laid down at the foundation of your mindset? That's what leads to how much resilience you have. Because as I said, everybody faces setbacks in life. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your setup is, who your parents were. Everybody faces a setback. It's how you respond to the setback that determines where you end up. So I don't know when I can't even think of the first time I had to have resilience, but I mean, we've all had to have it at different times. But I think I was blessed to I come from a 2-parent home, and my 2 parents were not entrepreneurs, not athletes. They did not teach me basketball. I pretty much taught that to myself, and they went to work every day at jobs that I know they weren't as excited to go to their work as you and I are excited to go to our work, Steve. And at the same time, they never preached about it. They never sat my sister and I down and said, "Hey, do you see what we're doing every day? When you grow up, you should do this." They never said that. They just showed up and went to work every day. And what I tell parents is that your kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. So when I got on the basketball court, I just took the same discipline that I saw in my parents and I applied it to the basketball court and it worked. And then since it worked in sports, I said, let me apply it to business. And that's how we got here. So I didn't quite answer your question where I first got resilience from, but I think it just comes from that's what was modeled to me, to just show up every day and do your job. And it was never, again, it was never articulated. I just saw it. And I had no choice but to do the same thing because that's what was demonstrated.
What's the one thing that Dre Baldwin has learned about himself showing up every day?
One thing I learned about myself from showing up every day is how few people show up every day. And if you want to separate yourself from the masses, all you had to do, Earl Nightingale said this in his tape called Lead the Field. He said, if you get into a space and you want to separate yourself from everyone else, just look around what everybody else is doing and do the opposite of that. And most people just don't show up every day. I mean, I go to a gym. There's certain days I go to the gym at the same time, and there are some days right after Christmas, Fridays when the weather is nice, and half the people that are normally there, they ain't there. Where's everybody at? Where are you? Where's everybody? Where'd everybody go? And people just don't show up, and just consistently showing up is, if I had to take one through line of everything that we talked about and everything that I've done, let's just say from college graduation to now, which has been about 20 years, it's just showing up more consistently than everybody else. That's it. The number one thing that I would say has put me in this position that I'm in now is just showing up every single day when other people eventually just stop showing up. It's just I'm a distance runner. I'm not a sprinter. And when you're in a distance race, yes, you need speed at certain points, but the most important thing you need is endurance. You just have to keep going. Can you just take one more step? And that's been the major through line of my professional life from, again, graduation 2004 to now, is just continually showing up. That's what's made me who I am.
Let's go back to the person who's struggling. That's a rough day for them. What would you say?
Person who's having that rough day is oftentimes you just need to keep going. And what I tell people is everybody in life has a story. And ever since I've been in the professional speaking space, maybe you have people in the legal space who maybe come to you with the same question. They'll say, "Hey, Dre, I see did a TED talk or you do some speech, some public speech somewhere." They'll say, "I want to get into speaking, Dre." And I ask them, "Oh, what do you want to speak about? Why do you want to get into speaking?" Often their answer is, "I have a story. I've been through this. I've been through that." That's often the answer I get from people. I have a story. Thing is, every human being on the planet has a story. Even the person living under the overpass, getting off the highway, they have a story too. Everybody has a story. The problem is not everybody's story will draw an audience of people who want to hear it. And what makes your story worth listening to is not that you have one, but it's the fact that you went through the rough stuff and you kept going to the point that you can stand on a stage or in front of a camera and you can say to the audience, "I've been where you are and I made it through to get to this stage. Let me tell you how I did it." But if you're a person who goes through the stuff, the rough stuff, and you don't make it through and you quit, then you still have a story. It's just nobody wants to hear it. So if you want to be able to tell your story, you have to be resilient enough to get through the challenging part so that you can make it to the part where you can look back and tell everybody, "I did it. Let me tell you how it goes." And the thing is, in general, Steve, most people just quit and on anything. I've known people who quit when things were working because this got boring to them. I know people who quit definitely when things are not working. And just harking back to my background as an athlete, I was not the most talented athlete. Again, if I had been talented, I would have been at a Division I school instead of a Division III school. And I saw a lot of athletes who had more talent than me from my neighborhood, players I played with and against in college. And the reason why I was able to make it is because I just kept going at the points that many of them fell off. They just either didn't want to keep working on their game. They were in college and they didn't go to class, so they end up being ineligible. They made some mistake off the court, or they just didn't want to go through the grind and the hustle of trying to get into pro after we got out of college, because none of us had anybody waving a contract in our face from that level. We had to go and hustle in order to make the opportunity happen. And again, I've seen people quit even when things were going pretty well. It's just people get bored with the grind. of just showing up every single day and doing the job. And is it monotonous? Yes, it is. Can it be boring at times? Yes, it is. Is it the same things over and over again? Yes, that's the job. That's what makes it a job, is the fact that it's not always fun. Because if it was always fun, it wouldn't be a job. All right, it would be an amusement park. All right, that's what the amusement park is for, is things always be fun. What makes it a job is that you get bored and that it's monotonous and it's the same stuff over and over again. And it can put you to sleep when you have to do the same things every single day. And that's what separates the pros from the amateurs, is showing up every single day and delivering, even when there's no excitement kind of behind the showing up. There's nothing exciting about today, but I still have to show up and do my job. And as you keep doing that, eventually you build up the momentum without even thinking about it, that eventually leads to the success.